Hello guys, in today's video we're gonna check out the best Sony mirrorless lens in this year. I made this list based on my personal opinion and I tried to list them based on their price, quality, durability, and many more. To find out more information about these Sony mirrorless lens you can check out the description below. If you want to get a best quality Sony mirrorless lens according to your needs, then watch the video till the end and then decide to buy. At the first position of our list, we have Sony F200-600 f5.66.3 GOS lens. Sometimes, the ultimate in reach is essential to get the job done as subjects, such as wildlife, are just too far away. For example, the moon, which seems to be a popular subject taken with camera phones and posted on social media, is over 384,000 km from Earth. You really need the longest focal length you can get in order to reveal the amazing details on the moon's surface, which are impossible to see with the naked eye. The Sony F200-600 f5.66.3 G lens is a surprisingly affordable, and yet very sharp, option. While the 2x teleconverter can boost the focal length to an impressive 1200, there is a noticeable price to be paid in terms of image sharpness. In comparison, any quality degradation with the 1.4x teleconverter is not really noticeable, and yet the resulting focal length, 840, can be useful. The photograph below shows a single capture of the moon using the Sony 100-400 lens with 1.4x teleconverter. Given that no processing, such as the use of stacked images, has taken place, capture detail is impressive. Moving on to the next at number 2 with Sony F100-400 f4.5.6 GM. If you want longer reach than the Sony 7200 f2.8 GM OS Roman 2 lens, discussed below, but still want something handholdable, look no further than the superlative 100-400 f4.5.6 GM lens. I have found that this lens performs admirably for many types of photography, including fast-moving sports such as Formula 1, wildlife, and air shows. As long as there is sufficient light, this lens captures a huge amount of detail with Sony high-resolution cameras, such as the Aeon and A7R Roman 4. There is so much to like about this lens if you have a decent amount of light available. I take a lot of photographs in low light. When I purchased this lens, I wasn't sure if I would use it much because of its modest f4.5.6 aperture. In reality, I have used the lens more often than I was expecting. For some subjects, you simply cannot get close enough with something like a 7200 lens. This lens has opened up a huge array of fun photographic opportunities. The number 3 position is held by Sony 7200 f2.8 GM OS Roman. One of the most exciting developments recently in the Sony lens lineup has been the update to Sony's original 7200 f2.8 lens in the form of the new Sony 7200 f2.8 GM OS Roman 2. In my previous Canon days, Canon's 7200 f2.8 Roman 2 lens was my favorite lens and always seemed to be attached to my camera due to its performance and versatility. Firstly, Sony has managed to substantially reduce the weight of the new lens, making it much easier to carry. The new lens weighs 1045 ig, which is considerably less than the 1480 ig of the older lens. Secondly, the autofocus of the new lens is something to behold in terms of speed and accuracy. Pairing the new Sony 7200 f2.8 GM OS Roman 2 lens with the Sony Aeon camera results in superb autofocus performance. Thirdly, the new lens is incredibly sharp. Fourthly, when the lens is used at its longest focal length, 200, it can deliver very pleasing bulk when fully open, f2.8. This is a very versatile lens, being great for portraits and sports photography, where a very long reach is not required. The lens can be used with Sony's 1.4x and 2x extenders to provide greater reach. Next at number 4 we have Sony F135 f4.8 GM lens. While 85mm is often deemed to be the best focal length for portraits, the 135mm focal length is extremely popular among portrait photographers, and I have found that this focal length is extremely useful for taking candid shots. The Sony F135 f4.8 GM lens is astonishingly sharp and is perfectly suited to high-resolution bodies such as the Sony A7R Roman 4. While at face value an aperture at f4.8 does not sound as impressive as f4.4 or f4.2, it is important to realize that subject isolation and bulk are also determined by the focal length of the lens. With 135mm, an aperture of f4.8 is capable of achieving exceptional subject isolation. The Sony 135 f4.8 GM lens combines exemplary resolution and sharpness while delivering buttery smooth bulk in out-of-focus areas. The number 5 position is held by Sony f/50.2 GM lens. If I was to pinpoint the most exciting lens in Sony's lineup, I'd probably say the Sony f/50.2 lens. This lens is a technical marvel, achieving a f/2 aperture in a lens with such a small form factor. The lens weighs a very reasonable 778. In the absence of an 85mm f/2 lens in the Sony lineup, for now, this lens provides a wow factor for portraits and complements the Sony 135mm f/8 GM lens described earlier perfectly. Before Christmas, I took some photographs of a stage show, and the Sony f/50.2 lens proved to be perfect for this application. Using an aperture of f/2, I was able to minimize noise by using 100-200 ISO while achieving incredible subject isolation and buttery smooth bokeh. The number 6 position is dominated by Sony f/35mm f/4 GM. 35mm is a very popular focal length for many photographers as it most closely resembles the field of view seen with the human eye, although I find that I use a 24mm focal length more often. When Sony launched its 35mm f/4 GM lens, it gave photographers a rare combination of razor sharpness and buttery smooth bokeh. In his review, Dustin Abbott said the lens has the magical blending of sharpness and softness that few but the best lenses achieve. Photographers often talk about the character of a lens, and Sony lenses are typically known for their high resolution and sharpness rather than for imparting any particular character on an image. I find that images taken with the Sony f/35mm f/4 GM lens have a noticeable look to them, which I think is due to the particularly smooth bokeh, which works well with portraits. Finally, the number 7 position is dominated by Sony f/24mm f/4 GM. The 24mm focal length is very useful, giving plenty of space around objects, and I've found it suited to capturing a wide range of subjects, including environmental portraits and food. For such a wide-angle lens, the bokeh is excellent. With an aperture of f/4, it's great in low light. With its relatively small size and low weight, 445 mg, the Sony f/24mm f/4 GM makes a perfect travel lens and ends up on my camera a lot of the time. With a 35mm lens, there's nothing more frustrating than not being able to fit an entire subject in the viewfinder, and a 24mm lens may avoid that eventuality. Given the excellent resolution on offer, it is always possible to crop images from this lens to match the view provided by a 35mm lens. On my travels, often I will pack the Sony f/24mm f/4 GM lens and leave my 35mm lens at home. That's all for today. We upload camera and camera accessories review videos every single day. So, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for the upcoming video notification.